Oh, hello. Welcome, everyone. I want to talk about gamma state. It is the hyper focus state, that flow state. And it's a state that I've been using more and more to do my work. And in particular, I've been using brain.fm to do that focused work. And if you've seen me talk about this before, you know that you can get a 30-day free trial with our special link. No obligation necessary. Try it out for 30 days and see what you think. And then you can use that with Flowtime, which is the brain wave sensing headband that we've partnered with. It contains other biofeedback markers like heart rate variability, and we also have a special link for that. So you can test out if you're accessing gamma and different brain states, other brain states too. And some of our meditations are integrated into the app. So that's exciting as well. I want to talk a little bit about Bob Monroe's focus levels. Bob Monroe, again, if you remember, we've talked about him. He is the individual that worked with the CIA doing testing for consciousness, remote viewing, out of body experiences. And I'm going to include a little graph from the Monroe Institute on the screen that depicts the most simplest form of the levels of consciousness. So, Bob used what he called focus levels to describe the levels of consciousness. And these ranged from focus level 1 to focus level 49. Focus level 1 is normal everyday consciousness. It's what some may refer to as beta. And focus 10 is a mind awake, body asleep state, or this may be the start of the hypnagogic state, which is what most of the focus or much of the focus of Bob's work was. He focused on that state, accessing that state for out of body experiences, mystical experiences. Other focus levels are just deeper and varying versions of this. So, for example, focus 15 is a state of no time, also called the void, being completely removed from a connection with the physical body. It can present as complete blackness. Focus 23 is thought to be the level immediately following physical death. Focus 27 is the space of recovery from physical death, where your life is reviewed and you plan for the next phase of life. And focus 34 to 35 is the gathering of beings. So, this brings me to a point that I've made multiple times that I want to make again. This is just the differences between what each teacher teaches. That essentially we're all teaching the same thing, me included, and we just come at it from different angles and focuses. Everyone's focusing on something different. So, for example, José Silva teaches the alpha method. He's basically teaching you how to access alpha, what he calls alpha, and use that state for focus. It's more focused awareness, and it can be used for memory recall and visualization, manifestation purposes. And then you get into somebody like Joe Dispenza, who primarily focuses on theta. And he's using that for healing and mystical experiences primarily. And then you get into someone like Bob Monroe, who's using the hypnagogic state and all these focus levels. The hypnagogic state, of course, is that liminal state between sleep and wakefulness. And he uses that state because it can be a state where we are aware, but our body is asleep. So essentially, we're accessing dream state and going behind the veil, essentially, in that state. But what they're all doing is, and this was my light bulb moment. I've said many times on the channel that when I understood what all of them were teaching, it was like, oh, okay, I get it. And this is much simpler. Because especially when you look at something like Joe Dispenza or even Jose Silva, but Joe Dispenza in particular, it seems very complex. And a lot of people try to grasp these concepts, these complex concepts that he teaches. He's written many books and has all this, all these trainings or whatever. And he does amazing work, don't get me wrong. Controversial work, of course. Some of it is very controversial, and some would say that he's a charlatan, but he's done some amazing things. I don't think anyone can really truly deny that. And this is not to say anything bad about Joe Dispenza because I very much love his work, but some of his concepts feel complex to people and they feel like they have to grasp all these things. And then with Silva, he has this method which is very effective, but people also struggle with how do I do it right? Am I using it right. The things that I think should be happening aren't happening. And so for me, when I understood that all of them were essentially doing the same thing and you could simplify it, that was the light bulb moment that I was like, okay, this is what this is. And then it just connected into a lot of other things I had learned. And this is why I'm here to teach you and show you. Another thing I want to talk about is the experience of the ego, which also some people call the guardian, and how it can keep us stuck. This is really important in this work. So, this is, the piece of us that strives for self preservation. It lives in our subconscious, it controls much of our conscious experience. And the superconsciousness level is where true change occurs because our ego or our guardian or whatever you want to call it, different people call it different things. Again, it's one of those things that is taught within many of these teachings. It's just taught in different ways, and you'll hear it referred to as different things. But it's built for survival, essentially. So we do need it, but it doesn't always serve us well. It's sometimes more prevalent in our 20s and 30s as we differentiate and learn to survive on our own. And of course, in childhood, it's developed. But then as we get into our 40s and beyond, which is interesting because the majority of people who watch the YouTube channel are in the 30 to 65 plus range. And that makes sense because when we get into our 40s and beyond, many people start to do more self actualization work. Although that's not true for everyone. And it's actually believed that only 1% of the population truly does this type of work that I talk about here, which is why so many people doing this work feel alone in it. They feel like they don't have anyone they can talk to about it often. And because of that, what I strive to build is more community and support around it so that you don't feel like you're crazy when you want to talk about some of these things you're experiencing and doing. So, another thing, people often come to this channel or me and they say, how can I create what I desire? Give me a practice that's easy to do. And while these practices are actually fairly easy, we have to remember that each person's journey is unique. And maybe the most important part of this work is just increasing your awareness so you can bring the subconscious to light and also bring those things that aren't allowing you to evolve into your highest self. We want to bring those to light as well. So we have created these self protective measures within ourselves. We have lots of messages that drive us that are in our subconscious, and we have established an identity, and we need to move beyond that identity. We have this innate need to preserve our established identity, which is where that guardian and ego comes in. And so the only way to really move beyond that is to bring it into awareness and move into something higher, work that you will continue to do likely your entire lifetime. But once you start doing this work, you will experience massive shifts in your consciousness. You'll experience shifts in your life, the way you live, and what you attract to you. So, with that said, that's all I have today. And again, you will find links in the description for brain.fm, as well as the Flowtime device, headband, app. It's all on that website if you go to that link. And very inexpensive little device that I'm having fun with. And I'll keep creating more videos about how you can use that and how it can benefit your practice because I truly believe that this is going to help so many of you understand your brain states better. That biofeedback allows you to train your mind because it just confirms what you're doing is working and it gives you such greater understanding. It makes all these practices so much easier, in my opinion, and I think you'll find that as well. So, some of you have already ordered one, and I can't wait to hear from you. I hope you will share with me what your experience is like and how you're using it. I'm still discovering all the ways I can use it. So I'd love to have some advice from others on what they found has helped them. So have a good day. Until next time.